So we're going to talk through the acoustic guitar parts for Together Forever, and we're going to be interpreting the song a little bit different than what you're hearing in the recording. In the recording, right at the top of the song, you hear the acoustic kind of picking through those chords, and we're actually going to be putting that part in the electric, because I think it's going to shine out a little bit clearer coming from the electric. But that also gives us the option of adding the acoustic at the beginning to play some sweeps to kind of fill that out a little bit, which is kind of nice. So you're going to hear us interpreting a few things throughout the song a little bit different than what you've heard in the recording, or if you've heard a team of ours play it before, a little bit different probably than what you've heard a team play. As a result, the acoustic guitar part is not super hard. It probably feels a little bit difficult at the beginning just because there's there's probably some new chords in there for you. There's some diminished chords and stuff like that. There's a lot of color chords, and the chords move very fast, and they're all, they don't repeat a whole lot. It's not like the same 4 chords over and over and over again, so it'll definitely be a challenge to kind of memorize and get it tight off charts. But the actual basics of the part are not very difficult. So the struggle is going to be learning the chords, learning how to voice all the chords, exactly what the fingerings for all the chords are, and then memorizing them. But past that, the actual technical part of the song is not hard. So we'll just start at the top and then go through there. On the first chorus, the electric is going to be doing kind of that picking on like a nice clean sound. And you're just going to be playing sweeps to kind of fill that out a little bit, and if nothing else, to lend a little bit of confidence to the electric player, because it's a very exposed part, and it's going to be nice just to have, 2 guitars in there kind of supporting one another in that. So that first chorus for you is going to sound like this. Do, 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 do. So just sweeps on the changes. I missed a chord in there, that G minor. I think I played a B flat because it was hard to watch the chart and play all the right notes. But in my mind, the only hard part in this section is those 4 fast chords that come at the end of the second line. So D minor, which I'm assuming you already know, to the C sharp diminished, which is going to be here, to the C sharp minor 7 here, to the F7, which, again, you probably already know. And you'll see, I think when I played it, I just played the F. There's a lot of color chords in this song, a lot of like A7s and C7s and F7s or whatever. And when you play those, if you drop the 7 and just play like the bass chord, so if it's on the chart as an A7 and you drop the 7 and you just play an A, it will work fine. You're not going to clash with anybody else. But if everybody did that, then you'd lose the character of the song, and the chords would not sound nearly as cool. So if, for the sake of rehearsal, to be able to keep all of the chord changes on the right beat and be able to keep the song moving along, if you have to kind of drop one of those color chords once in a while, that's probably fine. But I would encourage you to really work hard to try and like learn those chords and kind of make them second nature for you, so that you can play this song and really like really nail like the cool like character of this song in particular. That C sharp diminished chord, this might not help you to think of it this way, but this is how I have to think of it in order to like get my fingers to move where they need to move. You're going from the D minor, and then you're hitting the C sharp diminished, and then going to a C minor 7, and the C minor 7 is here. And so when I think of a C sharp diminished, I think of it as kind of a C minor 7 that's been like smushed up a fret, if that makes sense, and like smushed together. Again, this might not help you at all, but from where you're playing the C minor 7, if you move your first finger up to hit that C sharp, and then your second finger moves into the same fret, as your third finger. So they're both in the 5th fret now, and then your 4th finger just kind of adds this little note right here, this on the 6th fret on the G string. So in this way of thinking, your 3rd finger really is like an anchor point for those 2 chords. Your 3rd finger kind of lands on the 5th fret there, and you'll see when I go to hit the C sharp diminished, because I know what a C minor is, I know how to play a C minor, my hand will go from the D minor very quickly as I'm coming up to that chord, finger lightly a C minor chord, and then smoosh up from there, kind of adjust from there. Because if I go like this, and I put my 1st finger up, my 2nd finger moves into the same fret as my 3rd finger, and my 4th finger gets kind of pushed out into the next fret over. Like that. I don't know if that's going to help you to think of it that way, and if it doesn't, ignore everything I just said. But that's how I think of the C sharp diminished chord. I think of it as a C minor chord that's been kind of smushed together. And it helps my brain to think of it that way, and it's really the only way that I can get that chord. So if that doesn't help, ignore that. Anyway, when you make it to the turn, you'll be doing strumming. So and then you'll be out for verse 1 and verse 2. It's kind of a nice little break for you to recover from all those weird chords you had to play earlier. When you get to the pre-chorus, you'll be kind of strumming again, but it's a little more like plotty than it has been before, because you'll kind of hear everybody play like quarter notes. Bum 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 ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum bum. That I'm playing, keeping that quarter note pulse, and that's kind of what you hear everybody else doing. So. And then you go to a kind of a more like flowy, natural strum pattern when you go back into the chorus. This time you will actually be strumming, not just playing the sweeps. So after the chorus is the turn, just like the other turn. Then verse 3, which are tacit again, 4. Pre-chorus 2, which is just like pre-chorus 1, except it doesn't have those last 2 chords in it. You'll hear it if you listen to the recording. It's just like 2 measures shorter or whatever. Then the 3rd chorus, which is just like the 2nd chorus for you. It's the full strumming. And then you're going to get to the bridge. And for this, you'll be playing full bar chords, and you'll be playing a very accented part that is actually, I think it's going to be in pretty much every instrument. So it's the entire band is playing like that. So that's how you're going to strum it. So just like that. Accent, 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 and then that little upstrum at the end before you get to the next chord. In this, you'll also have a B flat. Man, this is a weird chord, and actually, as music trainers, we're still talking about how to refer to this chord. It's a lot of weird notes. It's a very strange chord. But for you, just for now, until someone tells you otherwise, you can play it down here. You can bar with your 1st finger, or you can play it this way, or you can bar with your 1st finger and catch 2 and 2 on the 2nd fret here with your 2nd and 3rd fingers, just like that. So that's the only weird chord in that section. And again, if you're having trouble with it, just pull up a metronome and play along, because it's easily the best way to practice, to kind of train your brain to think ahead. And then at the end of the bridge, you go into the final chorus, which is in G, which is really, really nice for you, because those are going to be all a lot of chords that you recognize, except for the D sharp diminished. But besides that, all just very comfortable chords for you, going out through that ending. And there's one correction I have to the outro for you. At the very end, there is actually a D before that last chord in the outro. So the A minor 7, and then there's a D before they land on that final C. And if you listen to the recording, you'll hear it. And then I'm also going to try and record a quick demonstration part, so you'll hear that too there. But that is all the parts, and I think once you listen through the, and get the chord, the fingerings for all the unfamiliar chords, then everything else will just really fall together. You'll be able to play through it in full band and hear all the accents and all that kind of stuff, and you'll fall together after that. So, cool.